Hello and welcome to the show. Tonight we go into the home of an MS patient who traveled across the world to get treatment. The Lloydminster MS Society drops in to offer some insight and gives you a fun way to donate. But first, the Canadian Professional Chuckwagon Association hits our studio after a very successful season. All that tonight on Around the Region. Multiple sclerosis research is in the midst of some amazing developments. Stick around to see the effects of experimental surgery on one local Kitscoty resident. But first up, Chucks. Thanks so much for joining us. A big weekend in the border city this weekend. The Cpca championships were in Lloydminster, and we have here today Brian Hepson and Gary Gorst with Cpca. Brian Hepson is the marketing manager, and Gary Gorst is the newest Cpca champion. How do you feel?
Oh, very good. Yeah, no, it was a real pleasure to win it. Yeah.
Excellent.
Very exciting.
Very good. So this brings sort of this season to an end, kind of thing. How are you feeling about that, Brian?
Obviously, when you end a season, there's a little bit of, disappointment because it's over. But all in all, very happy with, the Cpca. We talked about it last night. The drivers, how they represented the Cpca at the Calgary Stampede. A lot of our young drivers coming up. You see the experience and confidence in them, and the show that the Cpca drivers and outriders put on this year is something that everyone should be proud of because they've done a great job.
Excellent. How do you feel about your season? Obviously, you led points the whole way through, and now you're finishing on top. How does that feel?
Unbelievable season. You dream about this, and ended up going into Calgary and having a very good Calgary last weekend. The horse trader just lost it out by a nose of a horse, then come back and win it. So no, very happy and the way the horses ran and everything else.
And this has been kind of a family affair for you, especially this season. Logan came in 9th in the race this weekend, but you had already placed.
Yeah.
So Calgary. You were already in. So the top 8 get to go to the Calgary Stampede, and you just sort of forfeit your spot. So you kind of helped him out.
Oh yeah. He missed out this year, and then I got in the semifinals, and then we flew him down because it's the first time he ever missed out riding for his dad in Calgary. So that was great. Yeah.
And how do you think it's going to be competing with him in Calgary?
Good. Yeah, he was there last season in Calgary racing, and I said when he first started, it'd be a long time I raced against him, and it was second show where I had to race against him, so it was fun.
Do you encourage sort of family affairs in Cpca, do you think? You think that helps sort of the morale?
Actually, I don't need to encourage it because it's naturally there. Chuckwagon racing is a family sport behind the barns. You see obviously a lot of competitiveness on the track. But, every driver in the Cpca, family oriented. You can go back behind the barns as a fan, as a sponsor, and in the morning, different families are someone else's camp, having coffee, making breakfast. It's a very family oriented event in that way. Plus, people helping out behind the barns. Families are helping with the horses, and I would be surprised if there's another sport, professional sport, where it's as family oriented as chuckwagon racing.
And what about strategies? I mean, do you see strategies sort of passed down generation to generation? Like, do sons and fathers run the same way, do you think?
Very much so. Dad's successful right now, so Logan's taking the same footsteps because, must be some reason, because we got the same kind of horsepower, we can't, as a driver, and you can't go forward to buy the $30,000 or $40,000 horse. You got to go to the racetrack, when you get home, we'll start doing it, and make our own horses. So so he does lots of the same thing I do.
Speaking of strategy too, let's talk a little bit about your strategy on Sunday night. You got to pick which lane you were going to race in. Now, I understand you picked barrel 2, and normally you pick barrel 1. Is that right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, why? What's the strategy there?
The strategy was the little bit of moisture, and ended up Brian Labikin come into our final race, and he was hot. And I knew that if I couldn't get somebody close to him, he might even outturn me. So then I took 2 barrels, which I shocked a lot of people. And I knew Wayne, good chance he wouldn't take 1. And if Wayne stayed beside me, he'd keep Brian out. And then Roger took 1 and Brian took 4. So that was the strategy in there.
Well, it obviously worked out for you.
Yeah, very much.
We just have to take a quick break here, gentlemen. When we come back, more with Gary and Brian from the Cpca. Welcome back to the show. If you're just joining us now, we are just in the middle of a conversation with Brian Hepson, Marketing Manager for Cpca, and the newest Cpca champion winner, Gary Gorst. Let's talk a little bit about advertising. I mean, you've said before, Brian, that this sport would not exist without sponsors. How are we looking for sponsors in the upcoming season?
Well, I guess drivers are looking for sponsorship to help go down the road, and for myself to help build the association and market and promote the Cpca. And sponsorship, you see it in any professional sport. If you're at a hockey rink, you see it on the boards. Football, same thing. And chuck wagon racing is no different. And the cost for the drivers to perform is enormous. You talk about the feed and the cost of travel going down the road. And without that sponsorship, you can't, financially, they can't do it. If they can't do it, there's no chuck wagon racing. So the equation is pretty simple, and it's you need sponsorship to grow the sport.
How has viewership been in the stands this year? Do you think that plays a role in sponsorship?
Well, I guess, theoretically, as an advertiser, if there's more people in the stands, that value increases. And I think we've greatly increased the value for our sponsors over the last 3 to 5 years with our radio broadcasts, cpcaracing.com. We have most of our videos up there.
Right.
And our attendance in a lot of our shows is up significantly over the last year. And, going throughout the stands, we've had people from Australia, Florida, United States. There's people in Lloydminster this weekend from Texas. And
so, I mean, that obviously closes a lot of doors, I mean, in terms of advertising. Have you ever had trouble with getting sponsorships?
No, I've been in longer, but with Logan starting out, you got to get your foot in the door and stuff like that. He started this Logan Hero thing, and people could jump on board that way. As I go with like HJNR and Potts and the scheduling shows, and then Diva Darling's got me here and stuff like that. So more people know you, so it's easier my end. As Dusty, my other boy's going to start up, so now he's going to try to find a sponsor to get going down the road with him.
Do you think it is harder now than when you started out?
Once the sponsor comes sponsor, they're hooked.
Oh, okay.
And they keep coming back. Our days, when I was younger, we hardly had sponsors. We, ended up they come down and you threw a name on and stuff like that. Oh, it's professional. They want her down and up nice. So yeah. Really helps out lots. So
I guess just in summation, we're kind of running out of time here, but what are you most looking forward to next season?
Next season, I hope I'm getting Dustin started, that we can find a sponsor, and I'll have 2 boys go down the road, and every morning I get up, my granddaughter's there, another one on the way, so what more can you ask for the whole family along?
Excellent. What are you most looking forward to next season?
Just helping build the Cpca, we'll have a tarp sponsor or a tarp auction here in Lloydminster for companies who want to get on board for the finals next year. Try and build that. I look forward to helping the community here and building the sport of chuck wagon racing, and hopefully we can get more fans and more sponsors out of Lloydminster involved in the sport.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much, guys, for coming in. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Excellent. This has been our conversation with Brian Hepson, Marketing Manager for Cpca, and the 2010 Cpca champion, Gary Gorst. Your top news headlines are after the break.